And ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Experience Hockey Talk, serious hockey talk for serious hockey fans. It is April 21st, and we are near the end of the first round. We have three game fives today, one of which will be guaranteed a game 6, two of which could be ended tonight, or today, whatever we're watching. Get this ad. I don't want to see that. I want to see what the camera looks like on here. Oh. Okay, so you get to see me off to the side a little bit. Alright, I gotta fix that for future shows. But, yep, we got a lot going on. I'm trying to get Twitch up on there. There we go. There we go. Okay. Now I can get this off. Now, has this been updated? No, this has not been updated. Way to go, NHL.com. So, in the Western Conference, we're just going to go through the West real quick. Normally, as everyone who normally watches knows that I always start with the Caps. I'm going to end with the Caps instead, especially the fact that today's game at 3 p.m. is a key game for the Capitals, and I'd rather spend more time talking about that. But last night in Nashville in Game 5, the Colorado Avalanche defeated the Nashville Predators 2-1 to keep their series alive. Nashville leads their series 3-1 as I pull up their series real quick. It'd be nice if the NHL actually updated their stuff to reflect that there's going to be a Game 6 on Sunday at 7 p.m. But for the Colorado Avalanche, as I mentioned, good morning, Dixon. As I mentioned at the very beginning when we did our preview special, Colorado will bring a very good challenge to the Nashville Predators. I think personally still that St. Louis would have brought a bigger challenge, but the way Colorado has played in this series and the two periods that I did watch last night, Colorado was at the top of their game, and actually, in my opinion, was outplaying the Nashville Predators in Nashville. I still think Nashville wins this one. The series will probably end it tomorrow night in Colorado. But it's been a very good series for Colorado. Definitely a good learning experience. Jared Bednar, first season where he got to actually have a full training camp and be properly prepared and prepare his team. You're also seeing aspects from that Matt Duchene trade really paying off well for Colorado, and you're seeing that, especially the fact that they got Sam Girard back in the lineup for Colorado last night. He was definitely a factor for Colorado. So yeah, definitely a good series for Colorado, even though they're most likely going to lose to Nashville in this one probably tomorrow. And then next up, of course, also not updated on the NHL website, you have Winnipeg defeating Minnesota 4-1. They blanked the Minnesota Wild 5-0 last night in their victory to clinch their first ever playoff series since coming back to Winnipeg. Let's see here. Yeah, 5-0. Overall, great series for Winnipeg, but one thing that a lot of people need to talk about is the fact that if the Jets still probably would have won this series, but if if the Wild had a very healthy Jared Spurgeon, Ryan Suter was in the lineup 100% healthy, Zach Parise was in the lineup healthy, their defense would have been much better tenfold. And I also think that they would have put a better series in front of us than what we got to see, where essentially Minnesota was outscored. Minnesota won one game 6-2. But outside that, they're 7, 8. Yeah, overall, outside the one game Minnesota had against Winnipeg in Game 3, outside that, it was just all Winnipeg all the time. And it showed Connor Hellebuck definitely played phenomenal hockey for the Winnipeg Jets, especially in the last 2 games, posting back-to-back shutouts for the Jets to clinch this series for them against the Minnesota Wild. But one has to wonder what would have been like in this series if there was a Ryan Suter, if a healthy Jared Spurgeon was fully available for this team, if Zach Parise was in the lineup for the Minnesota Wild. What one would think that this would have been a completely different series than what we ended up seeing. And then we had 2 sweeps earlier in the week. You had the San Jose Sharks sweeping the Anaheim Ducks 4-0. Definitely not a great series for the Anaheim Ducks. It also is starting to show that this is a team that needs change. Time to change the coach with Randy Carlyle. He's obviously was not the answer since they fired Bruce Boudreau, who Bruce Boudreau may be, in Minnesota maybe, could be on the way out as well over there, depending, because he has not been able to generate the playoff success for them as well, just like he had the failures in both Anaheim and Washington. San Jose really took it to Anaheim. I mean, first game they won 3-0, second game they won 3-2. Game 4 was a 2-1 victory. Game 3 was an 8-1 win, where in my opinion, that game right there, Game 3, that's where the wheels fell off the vehicle for the Anaheim Ducks. In my opinion, you get that. They don't turn around into Game 4 and really recover from that game. So San Jose Sharks are now going to be taking on the Vegas Golden Knights, who took out the Los Angeles Kings 4-0. Now, for LA, one thing that was massively exposed by them is their speed. They don't have the speed that the way that Vegas has. This was also a very physical series on both ends. Vegas, and not only that, but the one thing that we should give the Kings credit for is that these were all 1-goal games. The first and the fourth game were both 1-0 by Vegas. Game 2 was a 2-1 double overtime victory by Vegas, and Game 3 was a 3-2 victory by Vegas. So, when you look at it for that, LA definitely put up a fight. They gave a good challenge to the Vegas Golden Knights. But one thing that doomed also the Kings was their lack of production in their first round defeat to Vegas. They weren't able to truly solve Marc-Andre Fleury, plus injuries on the defense became costly as well. And it also didn't help that in Game 2 they did not have Drew Doughty, who was suspended for 1 game. Golden Knight, Marc-Andre Fleury, he played phenomenal for the Golden Knights. The defense for the Golden Knights was very, very well played. And they were able to match LA physically on the ice as well. So that was a very, very good series for Vegas, especially the fact that, you have guys like Marc-Andre Fleury, who's won 3 cups. You have James Neal, who was just in the Stanley Cup Finals last season with Nashville against Pittsburgh. So for them, it's a big boost for them, to have those guys in that locker room and go, hey, this is what we do, this is how we're going to do it, keep your calm, and that's what they've done. And, same can go for Colorado right now. Again, their series against Nashville, Jared Bedard has been doing a very good job of keeping his team calm, even though they're down now 3-2 to Nashville, going into Game 6 tomorrow night. So we have a confirmed second-round series. It's Vegas versus San Jose. And we know that Winnipeg will take on the winner of Nashville versus Colorado. So Vegas and San Jose, one has to think the time off that those two teams are going to get before they face against each other, the time off that Winnipeg's going to have before they face off against Colorado or Nashville, that could be a detractor. We have seen it with teams before where it has been a detractor for teams where they have very long layoffs. Us Caps fans know that long layoffs are never good for the Capitals. We saw it a lot in January as well. So, that is something definitely to watch. Then moving over to the East, today at 3 p.m., the Tampa Bay Lightning have an opportunity to close out their series against the New Jersey Devils. Honestly, I thought this was going to be a sweep, but New Jersey has remained defiant and has given the Tampa Bay Lightning's fits. And in Game 3, they really, especially when Corey Crawford took over the net for the New Jersey Devils, truly, it gave a spark to the Devils. However, that spark would not go far, as Game 4 they would lose 3-1 to Tampa Bay. Today, the game will be either on NBC or NBC Sports Network, depending on what market you're in. And, of course, the local markets will get their local broadcasts as well. I believe this is the NBC Sports Network game in my area, because we're going to be getting the Capitals Blue Jackets game. But yeah, so Tampa Bay, on average, is scoring about 3.5 to 4 goals a game. And New Jersey is averaging maybe about 2.5 to 3 goals a game. New Jersey needs to be able to find a way to shut down, Tampa Bay's offense, because their offense is just killing them. Braden Point, Tyler Johnson, Nikita Kucherov, these are all guys who are really lighting it up against the Devils, and there's nothing that the Devils can really do about it. And looking at the 5 keys to today's game is, let's see here. Will Ryan Callahan play for the Tampa Bay Lightning? He's a game-time decision for today. He's missed the last 2 games with an upper body injury, and then also goes for Devils defenseman Sami Vatanen, who left Game 4 late in the first period with an upper body injury after a check by Kucherov. But Vatanen was not at practice Thursday and did not travel with the team. But John Hines did not rule out Vatanen for today and said he was day-to-day. Vatanen has been, hands down, one of the better defensemen for the New Jersey Devils. If they don't have him for Game 5, I definitely see this being a very tough game for the New Jersey Devils, especially for Corey Schneider, who will be in the net. Another key thing is the Lightning's forward depth. They have so many great, good scorers. They got Alex Killorn has scored 3 goals already. Tyler Johnson has 2 goals and assists. Braden Point has 1 goal, 2 assists. Yanni Gourde has 2 points. Kucherov, Steven Stamkos, and JT Miller took over in Game 4, combining for 3 goals and 4 assists. Nikita Kucherov has 9 points this series. Stamkos has 5 points, and Miller has 4. So for the Devils, that's who they have to shut down. They have to shut down all of that scoring that Tampa Bay has, and if they can't, then they're going to be in trouble. Andrei Vasilevskiy, who's a Vezina Trophy finalist, he needs to try to close out a Stanley Cup playoff series for the first time. This is his chance, now that Bishop is no longer with the team, to really make it his own. And this is his chance to this is how you really solidify yourself as the number 1 goalie. And it has been said that it's really going to be either Tampa Bay or Boston out of the East, along with Nashville mostly out of the West. This is a good opportunity for Vasilevskiy to end this series in 5 games. Get ready for either Boston or Toronto, who will find out. Boston wins tonight, goes to Toronto, or they take on Tampa Bay. If Toronto wins, they go on to a Game 6 on Monday. So definitely worth seeing how Vasilevskiy handles the pressure trying to close out a series on Game 5. This is something I talked about in the preview special, the special teams battle. Lightning's penalty kill is 28th in the NHL during the regular season, but it has been improving during the postseason. The penalty killers have allowed 3 goals on 18 attempts, which is 83.3%, and 2 of the goals came with the Lightning down 2 men. So 2 of the 3 power play goals against have been because of 5-on-3s. For the Devils, they need to just try to figure out their power play. However, New Jersey did not allow Tampa Bay to score on 5 power play chances in Game 4, but the Lightning are 5 for 14 in the series and 3 for 4 at home. So they're 75% at home on the power play. That's another factor that the Devils need to look into. Muscle versus muscle, the Lightning and Devils each turned up the physicality in Game 4 and were called for 13 penalties, 7 against Tampa, 6 against New Jersey. Game 5 is likely to be as physical, however, each coach stressed the need to play tough but smart and stay out of the penalty box, which is always key. Just to run through the projected lineup for the New Jersey Devils today. Today at 3, the projected lineup for the Devils is Taylor Hall, Nico Hischier, and Kyle Palmieri. Marcus Johansson with Pavel Zacha and Patrick Maroon. Blake Coleman with Travis Zajac and Stefan Noesen. Miles Wood with Brian Boyle and Brian Gibbons. Andy Green with Damon Severson. John Moore with Steven Santini. Ben Lovejoy with Will Butcher. And Corey Schneider starting in net. And it's still potentially a Sami Vatanen playing instead of one of the other defensemen that they have listed in the lineup. And then for the Lightning, we can probably expect to see JT Miller with Steven Stamkos and Nikita Kucherov, Andre Palat with Braden Point and Tyler Johnson, Alex Killorn with Anthony Cirelli and Yanni Gourde, Chris Kunitz with Cedric Paquette and Corey Conacher, and on D, Victor Hedman to Anton Strollman, Ryan McDonough with Dan Girardi, Braden Coburn with Mikhail Sergachev with Andrei Vasilevsky in net, and there's always the possibility that Ryan Callahan could potentially play in this game. So that's also something to keep an eye on for as well. Then moving on to the Toronto-Boston series. Currently Boston leads this series 3-1. They play tonight at, I believe, what time do they play at? They play at 8 p.m. on NBC. It's also the Hockey Night in Canada game. This is a chance for the Boston Bruins to finish up the Toronto Maple Leafs. In Game 1 and 2, they outscored them 5-1 and 7-3 respectively. Toronto then won Game 3 4-2, and Boston won Game 4 3-1. This one, and they did it with, and they did Game 4 without Patrice Bergeron, and who's a heart and soul guy of the Boston Bruins. We all remember when he played for the one playoff year where he had like a hole in his lung, fractured ribs. The guy's a tough SOB who plays his heart out. He's one of the best players in the league, in my opinion. Trying to see if they might be a little early for the 5 keys to the game for the Bruins. But one of the things is that's definitely helping the Bruins is Tuukka Rask has been thriving after past playoff struggles, which is key for the Bruins, especially if they want to be successful. The Bruins have a good chance of being the better team than Tampa Bay, potentially going to the Stanley Cup Finals out of the East. So it will be very interesting to see how things pan out tonight. Obviously, one big thing that needs to come into play for Toronto is Austin Matthews, Mitch Marner, William Nylander, Morgan Riley, Frederick Anderson. All these guys have to step up and play the best game of their life to keep their playoff series alive. Otherwise, they will be heading home after tonight out of the playoffs and done in the first round for the second year in a row. So definitely big challenge for the Toronto Maple Leafs, that especially in this type of situation. Then last night, Pittsburgh was trying to close out the Philadelphia Flyers, but the Flyers said no. Sean Couturier, who missed Game 4 with a lower body injury, knee injury, let's be brutally honest, I hate that upper body, lower body crap. Who missed the Game 4 with a knee injury. He came back. He scored the game-winning goal with a minute 15 left in regulation to avoid being eliminated in Game 5. They're forcing a Game 6, which will be played tomorrow, I believe, at 3 p.m. on NBC. That was a big game for Philly. And I was telling this to friends and stuff like that. When you look at the Flyers Game 4 against Pittsburgh, no Sean Couturier, who is hands down their best defensive forward. You don't have your best defensive forward in the lineup. It showed in the Flyers game against the Penguins. They lost 5-0. It was not a good game for the Philadelphia Flyers. So for this one, it's good. It was good to see Kotori back. You could see how he was frustrating Malkin, how he was frustrating Crosby. It was not a great game for the Penguins, where they do let frustrations get to them. And that's what the Flyers need to do to Pittsburgh. And if Pittsburgh wins tomorrow and move on to the second round and say the Caps or Blue Jackets go on to face them, what needs to happen is they just need to frustrate Sidney Crosby, Evgeny Malkin, Chris Letang, Patrick Hornquist, who hasn't been in the lineup the last couple games. And, Phil Kessel doesn't like being hit, so you got to do with Phil Kessel is just throw a hit, and then he's just going to stay away from the boards the entire time and become invisible. So that's what you got to do, and that's what I hope Philly does, and I hope Philly forces a Game 7 against Pittsburgh to really push the Pittsburgh Penguins and, say the Caps win today and on Monday. That would be good for the Capitals because then, Pittsburgh gets a little bit more beat up or Philadelphia gets a little bit more beat up, and that will help either Washington or Columbus, whoever moves on into the next round. Now, good to see Kotori back, but now we have the series. As I mentioned, I wanted to go through all the other playoff series first before we moved over to the Capitals, because I know I always start with the Caps, but I didn't want to start with them right away. I'm trying to see. Okay, cool. And Shaggy, we miss you. I know you're not watching, but I know you'll watch later. But for the Capitals, they're tied 2 apiece against the Columbus Blue Jackets. Come on, where's the series? It's not giving me the playoff schedule. Let's try this again. Huh. Good job, NHL.com. Good job. So, it's not giving me the schedule. Why is it not giving me the schedule? Give me a moment, because the NHL website does not want to work the way it's supposed to work. Here we go. So, in Game 1, the first 3 games were all played in overtime, which was, a good testament of how tough the series is legitimately going to be. And we all knew that this was not going to be an easy series, kind of like how it was with Vegas and LA and San Jose and Anaheim, and essentially Winnipeg against Minnesota, and the way we're seeing it with Boston against Toronto and Tampa Bay versus New Jersey. Oh, man. Why does this happen every freaking time? It's like 3 weeks in a row this is happening. So, Game 1, which I was at, and I do apologize for not getting the footage edited and posted yet. I've had many things that have kind of gone into more priority over all the video editing I need to do, because it's one of 3 projects I need to get done. The Game 1 Thursday night last week, saw the Blue Jackets defeat the Capitals 4-3. First 40 minutes, the Caps played great. Last 20 minutes in the overtime, they didn't play great. In overtime, they had that opportunity where they had all 3 of their forwards in front of the net. Bobrovsky couldn't see anything, and the defenseman just kept passing it until they lost it. And that eventually ended up costing them the game. Then in Game 2, the first 2 periods were not that great, but the third period was really great. And they lost in overtime 5-4 on Sunday. Good to see them scoring and all that stuff, but let's see here. Oh, it gives me this. Perfect. Let me look at the box for this game. You got Jay Beagle back in the lineup, which was really good for the Cavs because they needed to start winning faceoffs again. And Jay Beagle is that guy who really helps the Cavs with faceoffs. He got in. Ovechkin scored his first of the playoffs and his second of the playoffs in that one, both on power play goals. which is good. But then dumb penalties came into play again against the Caps, where they gave up 3 straight goals, 1 even straight, 2 power play goals to let Columbus take the lead. Oshie, however, on the power play, getting his first of the playoffs to get the Capitals back into it. But it would be Matt Calvert on a very good one-hand-on-the-stick play to win it for Columbus, and that one, get back to the series. And then going into Tuesday night's game against the Blue Jackets, this was a good game for the Caps. Tom Wilson got his first of the series. John Carlson scored his first of the series. First period was a very evenly contested game between the two teams, or period between the two teams. The second period, the Capitals definitely won that one, but in the third period, the Blue Jackets won that. But one of the interesting things to see happen, I'm actually looking at shots. In the third period, Columbus dominated that period, 10-6 in shots. But one of the interesting things that came into play when you look at the Lars Eller goal is the fact that when you look at the play, or you look at what the Columbus Blue Jackets started doing midway through the first overtime, was they started going into a 1-2-2 defensive system. And when you go into a 1-2-2 defensive system in overtime, in a game like this, you're essentially playing not to lose and not to win. And the Capitals, got into the zone quite a bit more. They were able to get more chances on goal. And as a result, in double overtime, Columbus was still playing that 1-2-2. And a lot of people like Ted Starkey and others were saying that Columbus looked tired. Columbus looked like they were gassed and that they couldn't keep up with the Washington Capitals in the overtime periods, because playing a third straight game in overtime and then having to go to double overtime, it wears on you. Caps threw it to the net, hit off Werenski, hit off of the toe of Lars Eller, goes in the net. Hey, I've always said that the playoffs, overtime goals are never the prettiest goals. They're always the ugliest ones. It's never a beautiful snipe. It's never a beautiful anything. It's just, a weird bounce. Hey, Lars Eller became a hero because it just bounced off his foot. We'll take that win. And then in Game 4, which was Thursday night, which I did not see this game, so I got to talk to people about it instead. And the number one thing that I heard from everybody was that this was the most complete 60-minute game that the Washington Capitals played. The Capitals won 4-1. And it's like that thing I've always been saying. If the Washington Capitals can play a full 60... like I said, if you look at Game 1 and you take the first 2 periods and you look at Game 2 and you take that third period and you put them together, you got yourself a full 60 minutes. That's all the Caps have to do. The Capitals can outplay these Columbus Blue Jackets. And the one thing I've been hearing from a lot of people is that Columbus has been looking very tired after all these overtime games that they've played. And that's something that the Capitals have taken advantage of as well. Plus, getting Braden Holtby back in the net. He has played exceptionally well for the Washington Capitals. He came in to start the third period of Game 2 for the Capitals, and then he started Game 3 and Game 4, and he has played very well for the Capitals. It seems like Holtby is kind of back in that groove, but, fingers crossed he stays that way. But he's definitely doing for the Capitals right now, and that's definitely good to see. Of course, the Capitals play today at 3 p.m. on NBC or NBC Sports Network, depending on what region you're in. And you also get the local feeds, except I think that's the one where they don't get the local feeds today. No, there's no local feeds for the Capitals. So, definitely, and that's another thing. The Capitals have had the first goal in every game so far this series. So, one of the keys to the game is an early goal. The Blue Jackets have fallen behind 2-0, 2-0, 1-0, and 3-0 in the first 4 games. They rallied to win the first 2, but are making things harder on themselves. Columbus needs to make Washington chase for once in this series. Columbus has had a lead before, I believe. Let's see. What was this one? I think it was a double overtime game. No, the Caps had the lead in that one. Columbus has had the lead once, and it was in Game 2. And Zach Werenski scored his power play goal at 18:52 of the second period, only to have it answered by TJ Oshie at 16:25 on the power play in the third period. So Columbus has had one lead the entire series. They have made the Capitals chase them one time this entire series. So for Columbus, yeah, they do. They need to get to the first goal. They need to take the lead for once. But they haven't been able to do that. It's always been the Washington Capitals doing the first goal every game. 2-0, 2-0, 1-0, 3-0. That's what the first 4 games have been in favor of the Capitals when it comes to scoring first. However, as we all know, the first 2 games didn't pan out the way that we would hope for the Caps, but it is what it is. Number 2, improved Capitals penalty kill. The Blue Jackets scored on 4 of their first 8 power plays in the series, but their last man advantage goal was at 18:52 of the second period in Game 2 by defenseman Zach Werenski, which I just brought up, which is the only goal to give them a lead the entire series. The Capitals have now killed 8 in a row. Obviously in Game 2 they got back Jay Beagle, who's one of their top penalty killers. When Tom Wilson's not in the penalty box, he is one of their top penalty killers now. Devontae Smith-Pelly has really stepped up. Brooks Orpik is a wall on defense for the Washington Capitals. And not only that, but they've made some adjustments and they've done some triggering, and commitment level has also changed. And it's really good to see that the Caps have all come together for that better success in the last 8 power plays, or penalty kills. Number 3, more secondary scoring. The top players who produce for each team, Washington's top 2 lines have 23 points. Columbus's has 20. The Capitals' 3rd and 4th lines have 6 points, and the Blue Jackets have 5. Which team will get offense from the bottom 6 on Saturday? That is a very good point. You can't rely solely on your top 6. There have been a lot of good power play goals scored for both teams, but at the same time, you need to get your secondary scoring going. You've gotten good goals from, Lars Eller in double overtime. You're getting points from others as well, but they're not getting enough to push. You look at teams like Pittsburgh. You look at teams like Vegas. You look at teams like, Winnipeg. They're not just getting the goals from their top 6. They're getting the goals from their entire lineup, and that's something that the Washington Capitals need to do as well. They need to get it from their entire lineup. They need guys like Chandler Stevenson to step up, especially now that Andre Burakovsky is out for the rest of the first round series against Columbus and maybe a little bit longer. So he's now being thrust into the top 6 to help the Capitals out. And then he's actually been playing pretty well with TJ Oshie and Nicholas Backstrom. So I'd like to see that develop and grow as well. Number 4, and this is for the Columbus Blue Jackets. Get to Holtby. Capitals goalie Brandon Holtby has looked like his old self since coming into the series in the 3rd period of Game 2, making 63 saves on 67 shots. The Blue Jackets were somewhat unlucky with pucks off the post in Games 3 and 4. Holtby is, like I said, Holtby is playing a lot better for the Capitals now than he was near the end of the regular season. He has really stepped up, and I wouldn't lie. I think the fact that Phil Grubauer got the start in the games 1 and 2, lit a fire under Braden Holtby and goes, this is my net. I should be the guy starting these games. And he's been playing very spectacular since that. Number 5, keep Artemi Panarin under wraps. The Capitals have struggled with Blue Jackets forward Artemi Panarin, who has 2 goals and 5 assists for the first 3 games, but they swarmed him in Game 4 and dropped into a version of the neutral zone trap that left Columbus flustered. That is what they need to continue to do that type of thing, not just to Panarin, but to the entire Blue Jackets team, and just frustrate them. Here's the thing. The team who gets frustrated the most is a team that's going to lose. And the Capitals need to continue to push those buttons and really help the help themselves win the game. But at the other end of the token, what you don't want to do is get a lead and then start playing not to lose instead of playing to win. You go kind of like what Columbus did in the double overtime, where they started playing not to lose. You can't do that. If you do that, you're going to have guaranteed failure in the playoffs, as we have seen several times before. Now, for the Blue Jackets projected lineup today, their first line will have Artemi Panarin with Pierre-Luc Dubois and Cam Atkinson. Second line will have Sonny Milano with Brandon Dubinsky and Oliver Bjorkstrand. The third line will have Boone Jenner with Nick Foligno and Josh Anderson. And the fourth line will have Matt Calvert with Mark Letestu and Thomas Vanek. On D, they'll have Zach Werenski with Seth Jones, Ian Cole with David Savard, and Ryan Murray with Marcus Nudavara. And Sergei Bobrovsky will be in the net for the Columbus Blue Jackets. And of course, one of the big things that's hurting the Columbus Blue Jackets right now is also not having Alexander Wenberg in the lineup, who was injured, I believe, in Game 1 or Game 2. So that's definitely a factor. I'm still surprised that Jack Johnson has not played yet in these playoffs for Columbus on the blue line. Jack Johnson's a very good defenseman, but I'm still very intrigued by that decision to not be playing him. And then for the Capitals, their projected lineup will be Alex Ovechkin with Evgeny Kuznetsov, Tom Wilson, Chandler Stevenson with Nicholas Backstrom and TJ Oshie, Brett Connolly with Lars Eller and Devontae Smith-Pelly, and Jacob Vrana with Jay Beagle and Alex Chiasson. On D, it's projected to be Dimitrov, Matt Niskanen, and Michael Kempney with John Carlson, and Brooks Orpik with Christian Hughes and Braden Holtby in the net. And actually, I'm going to look at something real quick here. Like I said, I didn't see the game on Thursday. I was at WWE NXT in DC, which, by the way, we should always be allowed an opportunity to go do other things that we enjoy. And I remember, and while I'm looking up this information, I remember back on the WBGR days, Bernie would give me crap saying that I should never tell anyone I didn't watch the game, because I was doing something else. And guess what? I didn't get to see Game 4. But from the highlights I've seen, and for what everyone else was telling me, the Capitals played a great game. And Christian Hughes played actually in Game 4 alongside Brooks Orpik. And it's interesting for that. I bring this up now, and that is, I wasn't honestly impressed with Christian Hughes in Game 3. I felt that he was outplayed in that game. I don't know how he did in Game 4, but he obviously played well enough to be still in the lineup over Jacob Jarabek. I honestly wasn't impressed with Game 3, and he's going to be somebody that I'm going to be watching today at 3 p.m. and see how he does, because I'm interested in seeing how he performs, especially the fact that I didn't see him play in Game 4, and I only saw him in Game 3. Honestly, also, I'd like to see Vrana get taken out of the lineup for Shane Gersich. I think Gersich should be playing over Vrana. I in the couple games that I did see him at the end of the regular season, I saw a lot of upside to him in his game, and I like to see him get an opportunity in the playoffs. And of course, in net for the Caps will be Braden Holtby. Apologies. And then, of course, Andre Burakovsky, as I mentioned, needed surgery and is out for the rest of the first round. Alexander Renberg skated Friday but did not take line rushes. His status is uncertain for Game 5. And then Brandon Dubinsky with Sonny Milano and Anders Bjorkstrand made up a revamped second line at practice on Friday for the Blue Jackets. So obviously, John Tortorella trying to mix things up for the Blue Jackets to see what he can do to try to make this team perform better. And of course, Tortorella, being typical Tortorella after their Game 4 loss, was we sucked and we laid an egg and quick press conference, and that was it for that. And you can't blame John Tortorella for being frustrated. He didn't think his team performed the way they should have, and they lost as a result of it. And that's what it is. So, that's that for that. Let me grab where's the home button? There's the home button. Chrome, I don't understand sometimes. Use this chance to talk about some news and notes that's going on throughout the league. If the email will ever pop up for me. Oh, yes, here we go. So, on the 17th, the Vezina Trophy finalists were announced. You have Winnipeg Jets goalie Connor Hellebuyck, Nashville Predators goalie Pekka Rinne, and Andrei Vasilevskiy at the Tampa Bay Lightning, all announced as the Vezina Trophy finalists. Connor Hellebuyck of Winnipeg shared the league lead with 44 wins to guide the Jets to their best season in team history. In doing so, he shared the franchise's record for victories in one campaign, set by Kari Lehtinen in 2006-07, which was 34 when they were still in Atlanta, and also surpassed Tom Barrasso for the most wins by a U.S.-born goaltender in one NHL season, which he had set at 43 in 1992-93 with the Pittsburgh Penguins. Pekka Rinne ranked third in the NHL with 42 victories, behind only Hellebuyck and Vasilevskiy to backstop the Predators to their first President's Trophy, as well as franchise records for wins and points. He also shared the league lead and set a club record with 8 shutouts while placing in the top 10 among netminders in goals against average and save percentage. And then Andrei Vasilevskiy of the Tampa Bay Lightning tied Hellebuyck with the league leading 44 wins, and Rinne with an NHL best 8 shutouts to also propel the Lightning to their finest season in club history. He set franchise records in both categories, surpassing Ben Bishop's 40 victories in 2014-15 and Nikolai Khabibulin's 7 shutouts in 2001-02. Vasilevskiy, who compiled 2.62 goals against average and .920 save percentage in 65 appearances, won 9 straight games from October 9th to October 30th, also eclipsing Khabibulin's team record of 8 straight victories, which was February 23rd to March 6, 2004. Let's see here. And then for the Selke, on the 18th, the Selke finalists were announced, which was Patrice Bergeron of the Boston Bruins, Sean Kotori of the Philadelphia Flyers, and Anze Kopitar of the Los Angeles Kings. Patrice Bergeron placed 6th in the NHL in face-off win percentage and was a league best 58.3% while shorthanded. Bergeron also ranked first among NHL forwards in the individual puck possession metric SAT, shots attempts per... Okay, that's an analytical garbage that I don't care about. But, yeah, he was great on face-offs. And, Bergeron is potentially, in my opinion, the best two-way player in the game right now. And all this analytical crap means absolutely nothing to me. But, when you look at what the guy can do on the ice, he is the best two-way forward. He's defensively sound. He's really good on the face-off circle. He's a great teammate. This is an ultimate two-way player, and there's a reason. There's a reason he's won it 4 times in his career. So yeah, and then you have Sean Kotori. Kotori tied for 3rd place in the NHL in plus-minus with a plus 34 rating, the best by Philadelphia players since John LeClaire and Eric Lindros in 1998-99. Among forwards, he ranked 2nd league-wide in total ice time and 3rd average in ice time per game. It's just like what I said about Couturier when it comes to the Flyer series against Pittsburgh. Sean Couturier is the best defensive forward that the Philadelphia Flyers have. He has made an impact when he's out of the lineup, because the Flyers aren't as good as when he's out of the lineup, and they are so much better with him in the lineup. He is a definite Selke finalist in my eyes, and probably should deserve. Should probably does deserve to win it. If not this year, he has other chances to win it in his future. He is a young kid who's got a good future ahead of him. And Anze Kopitar led all NHL forwards in total ice time, an average of 22.05 per game, and on the club that led the league in team defense, allowing an average of 2.46 goals a contest. He was tops of Los Angeles forwards in shorthanded ice time, and on the NHL's top-ranked penalty killing unit. This is his fourth time as a finalist in 5 seasons for the Selke Award, and he captured the award one time back in 2016. There's not a whole lot I have to say about Anze Kopitar. He's just like Patrice Bergeron. He's very good. He's so valuable to his team, which is why, he's able to do that. Oh, here it is. All right. And then on the 19th, the Norris Trophy finalists were announced, which was Drew Doughty, Victor Hedman, and PK Subban. Drew Doughty of the Los Angeles Kings paced the NHL in total time on ice, in average time on ice, while anchoring a Los Angeles defense that allowed a league low of 203 goals. He also set a career high and ranked 7th among NHL defensemen, with 10 goals, 50 assists, and 60 points, becoming the first Kings blue liner to collect 60 points since 2005-06, when Lubomir Visnovsky did so. Doughty appeared in all 82 games for the 4th straight season, reached a trio of career milestones, picking up his 100th goal, 300th assist, and 400th point. Only one defenseman has registered more goals, assists, or points for Los Angeles, and that is Rob Blake. He has been a Norris Trophy finalist for the 4th time after winning the award in 2015-16. And Drew Doughty is definitely what the Norris Trophy, in my opinion, is all about. Victor Hedman of the Tampa Bay Lightning shared first place among NHL defensemen with a career high 17 goals, tied for the second most in one season by Lightning blue liner, which is behind Dan Boyle. He also ranked 5th among league defensemen with 63 points, becoming the first blue liner in team history to top 60 points in multiple campaigns. And then PK Subban of the Nashville Predators powered a Predators defense that led the NHL in goals and points in 2017-18. He set a career high and shared 4th place among league blue liners with 16 goals. Subban also ranked 8th among NHL defensemen with 59 points, one shy of his personal best established in 2014-15 when he was still with Montreal. I definitely think all 3 of them are definitely worthy of the Norris Trophy. A lot better than a Chris Letang or a Mike Green or an Erik Carlson, who are really forwards who play defense, or who think they do. If it was up to me, it would probably be Drew Doughty winning this award or Victor Hedman. One of those 2 guys definitely deserves to be the Norris Trophy. I like PK Subban as a finalist, but I don't see him winning the Norris Trophy. But Subban is seeking his 2nd Norris Trophy following his win in 2012-13 with Montreal. So Subban is worthy of it, but I don't think it's going to be him. I think it's Doughty or Hedman. And then for the Lady Byng, you have Alexander Barkov of the Florida Panthers, William Carlson of the Vegas Golden Knights, and Ryan O'Reilly of the Buffalo Sabres. Alexander Barkov of the Florida Panthers posted a career-high 51 assists and 78 points, the most by a Panthers player since 2006-07 when Olli Jokinen did, 91 points. He also led the NHL with 5 shorthanded goals, one shy of the franchise record set by Tom Fitzgerald in 1995-96. Barkov played in a career-high 79 games, ranking 2nd among league forwards in average time on ice. He also placed 5th overall with 82 takeaways, while receiving only 7 minor penalties and 14 penalty minutes, the second fewest by any player in the top 25 in NHL scoring. This is his second. Let's see here. He is a Lady Byng Trophy finalist for the 2nd time in the past 3 seasons after finishing 2nd in 2015-16. He is hoping to become the 2nd player in Florida history to win the award. William Carlson of the Vegas Golden Knights compiled 18 goals, 32 assists for 50 points in 183 NHL games prior to 2017. He ranked third in the NHL with 43 goals to power the Golden Knights to unprecedented success for an expansion team. Only 5 players have scored more goals while playing for a club in its inaugural season, while just 7 have registered more points. Carlson had 78 points in 82 games played. Carlson filled the score sheet while taking only 6 minor penalties, finishing with the fewest penalty minutes among the league's top 40 scorers. He also topped the NHL with a plus 49 rating, 13 better than the next closest player and the highest by anyone since 2009-10, when Jeff Schultz did a plus 50 with the Capitals. He is seeking to become the first player to win an end-of-season trophy for a team in its inaugural season since 1979-80, when Wayne Gretzky did it with Edmonton. And then Ryan O'Reilly of the Buffalo Sabres posted 24 goals for 37 assists and 61 points, his second best offensive season, while enjoying historic numbers in the faceoff circle. His 1,274 faceoff wins were the most by any player since the league officially began tracking the statistic in 1997-98. O'Reilly also became the third different player to record 1,000 faceoff wins in one season while maintaining a 60% winning percentage, joining Patrice Bergeron and Rod Brind'Amour, who did it 2 times each. Or Brind'Amour did, they both did it 2 times each. Beyond the faceoff dot, O'Reilly received only 1 minor penalty, the fewest by any player with at least 41 appearances. He is aiming for his second Lady Byng trophy after winning the award in 2013-14 with Colorado. He is also looking to become the second player in Sabres history to collect the trophy, following Gilbert Perreault in 1972-73. So that is all of that news in regards to those trophy finalists that have been put out already. Obviously, there will be more announced. They should have finalists announced today, finalists announced tomorrow, Monday. Also, real quick, shout out to, Shout out to Achino for following us on Twitch. Thank you for following the show. I hope you enjoy what we put out there. Let's see here. Praying Purging is now following us on Twitch. Thank you so much for following us as well. Obviously that came as a benefactor of the, we are now posting our live streaming games. And also, for the Maple Leafs tonight, they get Nazem Kadri back. Being how this is Game 5, they get Nazem Kadri back in the lineup for them. That's obviously a big pickup for the Toronto Maple Leafs and should help them hope to stave off elimination for at least one more day. So with that, please note that tomorrow at 11 a.m. here on Twitch, we will be live streaming the Street Sharks versus the Gwendolyn Blue Knights. And then at 12:50, we will be live streaming the Gwendolyn Gladiators versus the Gwendolyn Gladiators versus the High Rollers. So Gwendolyn Gladiators versus the High Rollers at 12:50. That game will be the TXHT DCHL Game of the Week. TXHT has all broadcast rights to the Street Sharks games automatically. Please know that we do show the games with the permission of the DCHL, and that any rebroadcasting of those games must be given permission by the DCHL leagues in order to do that, which TXHT does. So once again, thank you all for watching here today. We'll be back tomorrow with 2 games from the DCHL for you, one of which I'll be playing, which is that 11 o'clock game for the Street Sharks. And we will be, and then of course the Gladiators versus the High Rollers at 12:50. And until next week, you can still follow us on Twitter at TXHT_hockey. Like us on Facebook at facebook.com/TXHThockey. follow this Twitch channel. Tell your friends to follow the Twitch channel at twitch.tv/TXHT_hockey. And join the Patreon community where we post everything. I promise we'll get the Game 1 stuff from the Columbus Caps series up there eventually soon. Hopefully, maybe after the Caps game, I'll sit down and work on that to get that up as quickly as possible. Patreon.com/TXHT_hockey. Join the community today. Everything that you contribute helps me continue to make this show. And there are things that when we go into the off season that I will be working on to enhance this experience of the show for everybody. So with that, thank you for watching, and until next week, we will see you on the ice.